At the end of the day, we have kind of rigged it to try and win.
Absolutely, disgraceful, yeah.
You're watching Football Trending, delivered by Joe and Domino's.
Hello and welcome to Football Trending. I'm Wayne Farry. As usual, I'm joined by an increasingly happy Reuben Pinder. Reuben, how are you getting on?
I'm pretty good, thank you.
That's good to hear. And we're joined today by journalist Flo Lloyd-Hughes. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, good.
Thanks for joining us. It feels like every episode I'm just cutting straight to the chase here because it's just how England are performing. It kind of feels like it's coming home a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's happening.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, just reinforced all this kind of hope that we had that we are actually really good.
Yeah.
Because before the game, I was like, well, I think I was very confident that we'd win. I didn't think we'd win 4-0. I thought 1 or 2 because of the way we've been playing, where we kind of keep it tight and then kind of unleash the attack in sort of like the 65th, 70th minute. But right from the off yesterday, we were just absolutely unreal.
And you scored after 3 minutes? 4 minutes?
It was unreal.
What impressed you most about the...
Yeah, and I think what was interesting about that early goal is, I can't remember the stats, but they read them out at half-time, the fact that England haven't performed that well after scoring early in major tournaments. So think about the Croatia game, a couple of other games as well. So
Iceland.
Yeah.
Because that was,
Iceland,
we were talking about it yesterday watching the game, well, not all of us, but me and the group that I was with, and the fear was, I say fear, but the thought was, score an early goal, sit back.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I think Ukraine got comfortable. We let them have a lot of the ball, which was fine. They didn't necessarily use it tremendously, but they had that brilliant chance that Pickford made that save from. So they could have easily got an equaliser in that first half. And I was a little bit nervy at half-time because I thought, we've let them get back into it. We scored that early goal, and we haven't necessarily sat back, but we haven't decided to take the game on.
No.
But what was incredible was just the start to the second half. Is when that second goal went in, they were just blown away. There was no coming back from that. And I think that was great because in my head, I could picture that early goal and then England dragging, getting to the last 5 or 10 minutes, and then Ukraine getting an equaliser. Then we get forced into extra time and perhaps a penalty shootout. Because that's what Ukraine would have wanted. They would have wanted
100%. That's what they were playing for.
Yeah. So I thought it was so impressive to see England just in the second half be like, actually, do you know what? Let's take it on. Yeah. That Ukraine defended their set pieces terribly.
Really badly.
Which kind of helped England a lot for 2 of their goals. So, it was just a really, really good performance.
It was because one thing that people have always said about Southgate is the sensible, he's a sensible man, an honourable man. And last night just felt like game management 101, in terms of getting the goal. As you said, first half, probably could have pushed on a little bit, but then getting that second goal so early in the second half. It reminds me of, I saw a clip the other day from Hard Knocks, that NFL show, and there was the Raiders coach saying, we're not here to fulfill dreams, we're here to kill other people's dreams. And it felt like that. It was because Ukraine would have had, everyone back home would have been going crazy and this is our chance. And then
with Shevchenko as well, right? It's a bit of a fairy tale.
Big time.
But popped that balloon.
Just popped it with a big Harry Maguire head,
What I loved about that goal in particular, actually, and Kane's header as well, and Henderson's, is the fact that we've now scored a variety of different types of goals, because the goals that we scored against, well, not necessarily Croatia, but the Czech Republic and Germany, they're all quite similar. It was all quite Grealish comes on, we get the ball to the left, and then somebody in the middle will score a tap in, which is a great way to score a goal.
Yeah.
But which was in contrast to how we scored most of the goals at the World Cup, where it was all set pieces and headers. And now that we can clearly do both, and we don't necessarily need that kind of set piece specialist in sort of Trent or Ward-Prowse or even Trippier. Yeah. Because Shaw and Mount both delivered great crosses yesterday, and the big boys up top put them away. So it's really reassuring that if we have to resort to just set pieces, then we can.
But there's this team has a lot of ways of winning matches, which is exactly what you want. The fact that, as you said, it's not just set pieces. Shaw, we spoke before the show about how good Shaw has been. That must be such a boost for England fans, having this. He's playing the best football he's ever played in his career.
Yeah, at the exact perfect time. And I think Harry Kane kind of showed glimpses of that as well yesterday. I mean, I know people have been giving him quite a lot of stick for those first few games, and I'm not a Spurs fan. I'm not someone who's felt like I've always needed to cheerlead Harry Kane, but
Yeah.
I actually kind of felt like it was going to all work out in the end. And I also thought even the games where a lot of people said he looked stodgy and slow, I kind of felt like there was still a purpose to what he was doing.
Yeah,
Like he was still working hard and he was still having an impact on the other team and, you know, making them mark him. I mean, like often you'd have two players mark him and he was taking players out of the game, even if he wasn't finishing the few opportunities that came his way. So with him and Shaw and Sterling playing some of the best football they've ever played, certainly for England. I mean, this is the best we've ever seen Sterling play for England.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
And it's
How good has
just
he been?
so good. And I think also, and to what you were saying, Reuben, the types of goals, we've seen a couple of goals now. The game last night as well, in that opening game against Croatia, where we're just really playing these amazing through balls that are just perfect for people like Sterling and Kane to jump onto. That Phillips ball for the Croatia game and Sterling's pass yesterday for Kane,
Beautiful.
where Kane was off balance and had to finish it. I mean,
I thought he was offside. I hesitated celebrating because he was in so much space.
Yeah.
yeah, and I think, I mean, part of it was I think Ukraine kind of just completely lost track of him and then he was right in behind.
Because he was well onside.
And there was that other opportunity where Shaw was flagged offside, but he was well onside. And that was a similar, like, he found the gap, pass came in. So I think I've spent a lot of time watching Italy and thinking, God, their movement is genius. And although England are more static in some ways because we don't see the rotation of Italy, you know, Italy are constantly moving positions.
Yeah.
Like, Insigne will be on the left and then suddenly you'll see him at like right wing back for like 5 minutes and they're just mad with their movement. England are like that, but in different ways. They still have their static positions, but they're so good at drawing players out of position.
Yeah.
And I think we've just kind of seen them move up another level, which kind of boosts Southgate's reputation because he's becoming more of a coach now rather than just like a nice guy.
That's the thing, right? Because everyone's always loved Southgate, the man, you know? Well, I mean, since he's been England coach, at least, after 2018, people love him. But there was massive, and I was questioning him after the Scotland game. I was like, I don't really know entirely if he knows what he's trying to do. That's totally gone now. Like, he is... you would struggle to find a more loved man in the country right now and a more trusted man than Gareth Southgate. Like,
do you not think, though, not getting to the final would still be a bit of a disappointment?
It would.
For me, absolutely not.
I mean for you. You don't
Yeah,
think? You don't give a shit.
Yeah, no. No, I think, I mean, now that you guys are in the semis and you're facing Denmark, then obviously you're the favourites. So if you don't make it there, then that would be a huge disappointment. But I just think, like, I think Southgate makes brave decisions and he trusts himself so much. Like, not playing Grealish after...
Or Sancho.
No, but I mean, last night.
Right, yeah.
And playing Sancho. Like, Grealish was so good in the previous game.
Yeah.
And he just seems to have this, like... He just doesn't seem to care what other people think.
Yeah, his ability to like cut out the noise and ignore the pressure is amazing. And we should all be very grateful because if you listen to all of us, then...
I know.
You'd be everywhere.
A lot of people have been proved wrong, haven't they? And I think that was interesting about the Germany game. I mean, I saw that starting lineup and I wasn't... Like, I had friends that were absolutely raging. Friends who don't get that emotional about England were like, I cannot believe it. He's wasted our best opportunity at winning a major tournament, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, you know what? Like, this is his style.
Yeah.
We know this is what the man does. He doesn't like to take too many risks. He is a smart guy. He's pragmatic. And if he wants to put out, like, a bit more of a defensive formation, so be it. Like, you've got to trust the guy, and it paid off.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting. I think that was just the game changer. And now people are willing to trust whatever he does.
Totally.
I was really baffled by the reaction to the starting 11 for the Germany game because it was clear what the plan was because he was just matching them up 3-4-3. But I suppose...
I think it was also the Rice and Phillips defensive midfield combo. I think
also, if you
people
play,
were just a little frustrated about.
If you play 3-4-3, though, you can't... I mean, you could, but you wouldn't want to play, like, Mount that deep, would you? Like,
nah, it doesn't really
But I guess it was just the exclusion of players like Foden, Grealish, and everyone like that. But yeah, he's got it absolutely spot on in every game except for Scotland, which does feel like a very long time ago now, but doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I mean, this is the thing. We talked about it. I mean, the reaction to that game was ridiculous, really, with the benefit of hindsight, you know, because it felt like there was, you know... You may as well have been in the fucking... Excuse me. You may as well have been in the Hague. Just be like, what have you done, Gareth Southgate?
I mean, I was fuming at the time, but then the day afterwards when we did our show about Scotland, I was a little bit more these results, they
Measured.
happened. We still haven't conceded a goal.
Yeah.
But I did understand, like, at the time I was as angry as everybody else. But yeah, now, like, going into the next game against Denmark, I hope there's a lot less of the sort of fume when the starting 11 comes out.
I think,
because
like,
players are going to be excluded.
It's
Like,
just
you can
not
only play 11.
possible.
No.
It's just not possible to play all the best players. And I think Grealish especially has taken on that substitute impact sub rule on really well.
Yeah, he seems to revel in it.
Yeah,
doesn't he?
and I think Southgate is extremely kind of bold to not bow to the pressure of the fans, the media.
Yeah.
And, Grealish played really well in those warm-up games.
Yeah.
He was the standout player, but the reality is Southgate sees his role differently to the rest of us. So you kind of got to trust the guy.
Totally. And the thing is as well that, like, obviously it doesn't really get touched upon is that, like, these people are having conversations all of the time, every day. They're working together so closely. So it's not like Grealish is just on Twitter being like, why have I been left out?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, they know what they're doing.
There was a really nice moment between those two after the game, actually, where Southgate and Grealish were on the pitch after we'd won, and he had his arm around him, probably saying something along the lines of, "Don't worry, your time will come. Like,
Yeah.
I've got a plan for you."
Yeah.
And Grealish, like, to his credit, has just been happy to play that role. Other players, maybe
exactly.
in the France squad, for example, might kick up a fuss if that
totally.
happened.
Potentially.
Yeah.
So Raheem Sterling was incredibly impressive last night, continuing his brilliant form all tournament. A lot of the talk was about Kane and stuff, and Kane is the captain. He's a wonderful player. Is Sterling the talisman for this team in terms of just he's got a quiet efficiency for England, which is what you want from your star players, really. Do you know? And he just gets things done.
Yeah,
And that pass through to Kane last night was phenomenal.
I'd say he is at the moment, because his contributions have been so important. Like, to think that before the tournament people were asking for him not to start or even play because of his sort of underwhelming club form at the back end of last season, now it just looks ridiculous because he's been so good. And he just is unfazed by the pressure, isn't he? Like,
Totally.
That pass yesterday, I can't go over how good that pass was because he was off balance. He was being fouled as he played the pass. Like, it was unbelievable. And now he's like, I know that Southgate has a plan for every game and nobody's place is guaranteed, but he's almost like
his
first
place
name on the
is
team sheet,
guaranteed,
right?
100%,
So yeah, he's brilliant, and he is like, he's a different type of leader. Sort of Kane is obviously the captain, leads by example. Everybody looks up to him. Henderson, Maguire, like more vocal
like to shout
leaders.
and stuff,
Sterling is kind of quietly. He's one of those players, a little bit like Grealish, as we discussed with James Alcott, where if you need to score a goal, if you're struggling a little bit, just give the ball to him.
Yeah.
I think there's a reliability as well about him, which is crucial for tournament football.
Yeah.
And that's maybe where a team like France has kind of unravelled a little bit because Mbappe or some of their star players haven't necessarily turned up in those big moments.
Yeah.
But Sterling has become a reliable person in that team where you think if something's going to fall to him, he's going to finish it. And we haven't necessarily seen that in Kane until Germany game, until last night. But Sterling is providing exactly what England need at the right time. So yeah, I think he is becoming a leading force for England, and I think other players like Luke Shaw are doing that as well. I mean, I don't think many people would have thought Luke Shaw is going to be England's star man. He's going to be the reliable guy who's going to be getting, 2 assists in a game.
Yeah.
But he is just transformed, and
so
it's just
good.
like it's everything is just kind of peaking at the right time. And obviously, when athletes are prepared for these things, like, it's not just luck. These things don't just happen.
Yeah.
There are years and years of preparation that go into it. But I think what's so impressive about England are doing is the last couple of years have been so stagnated because of COVID. So they haven't had a lot of time together. Even when they do get to train or do kind of analysis, like, you still have to break up into little bubbles and groups.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the same. So to be able to achieve this over the last couple of years is super impressive with players that have switched around a bit as well. Like, when you look at pictures of that Colombia shootout and you look at some of the players that were on the pitch, like Danny Rose, obviously Eric Dyer, who scored the winning penalty, like Jesse Lingard.
Jamie Vardy.
Yeah, Jamie Vardy.
Yeah.
Like, Jesse Lingard obviously got really close to being in this squad, but...
And Jamie Vardy probably would have been in the squad if he had
Yeah,
retired from
potentially,
international football.
yeah. So it's just kind of really interesting because when actually you look at the France team, the World Cup, and that's here, it's like very kind of strong.
Yeah.
Like, most of the team played in that tournament a couple of years ago. So it's just really exciting and impressive how England have evolved.
It does kind of make you wonder, like, how different the squad would have been if it went ahead in 2020.
This is the
Yeah.
thing.
If there was
Because
like-
Shaw wouldn't be there. As you were
Yeah.
saying earlier, Grealish probably wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really, really interesting, actually, how, it could have been a completely different story. And if they'd maybe, I mean, obviously, if the pandemic had still happened and they'd gone ahead and tried to do like a behind closed doors tournament, God, that would have been bad for England.
Yeah.
Because the Wembley effect as well has been huge.
It's been massive.
And I think it's going to be so exciting to go back to Wembley on Wednesday. And I think that is going to be something that really kind of tips England over the edge and gives them an extra advantage. Because I think Denmark will be good, but having that home advantage is going to be amazing. Because that's, that got Denmark through a lot of their games.
Well, every semi-finalist has played all their group games at home.
Yeah.
Do you know? So I mean, there's definitely something in that.
There's going to be a convenient excuse for the anti-England brigade when we lift the trophy and they're like, oh, you played most of your games at home.
I'm not saying that from an anti-England point of view. I'm just saying from this is a
Well,
fact.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, we have kind of rigged it to try and win.
Absolutely, disgraceful. Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. Like, letting a bunch of people come in without having to quarantine. All
But they're
kind of
very
stuff,
important people.
They are very important. I mean, we're all very important people
That's very true.
in this world. But yeah, I think if they don't do it now, with huge home advantage throughout the whole tournament, some of the best players of a generation, you do feel like, will they ever do it?
Yeah. See, this is the thing, right?
No pressure, though, lads.
No pressure.
No
but
pressure.
And
an unbelievable draw as well.
Yeah.
I mean, this is back-to-back tournaments where we've had a fairly decent draw.
So if you don't win something out of 2 draws like that, there'd be questions.
And this
being
time
asked.
we didn't get it from throwing the third game and finishing
No.
top dog group, and then we beat Germany.
Yeah, you haven't tanked.
You can't say anything
Yeah,
about
exactly.
True.
like,
It is a very likeable English team. They seem like really good lads. Like Grealish after the game against Germany, when he was asked a long question, he was like, "It's a tactical masterclass, wasn't it?"
Yeah.
Like, that sort of stuff is so nice. But Denmark are probably the neutrals, the kind of favourites in this tournament, because obviously everything that happened with Eriksen was heartbreaking. The kind of the narrative around them, the team spirit, that those intangibles are kind of, they don't really mean very. Well, they mean a lot, but you can't define them necessarily. But Denmark are going to be tougher than a lot of English fans think. Like, as an Irish fan, I've watched Denmark batter us so many times with Eriksen. But Darmsgaard coming in place of Eriksen has been brilliant. Like, they have a lot of really, really good mainly attacking players. Is there a part of either of your minds that questions whether you might beat Denmark?
Oh, yeah. I don't think they should be taken lightly. Yeah. I think with Ukraine, I think there was kind of too much jeopardy that actually just wasn't there. Like, Ukraine had not been very good.
They were built up quite a bit, weren't they?
Yeah, they were built up a bit too much. And I think that's important because you don't want too much arrogance to then kind of underestimate a team.
Yeah.
But in reality, like, England were a lot better than Ukraine, and Ukraine had been pretty rubbish.
And England knew it as well.
Yeah, and England knew it, and I think people wanted to still believe like in the upset. So, but I actually with the Denmark game, there is much more of a realistic opportunity. It's not just the narrative. Like, Denmark have really grown into this tournament. They've got better with every game. They look far better going forward than they did in the first game, especially before what happened with Eriksen. That Finland game was so boring.
Bad.
So boring, and they just like. The pace of the game was really slow. I think ever since what happened, their intensity's really lifted, because I thought they started the tournament really sluggish in that opening game.
They did.
And they've been far more clinical. I mean, obviously the Russia game, I think 3 of the 4 goals were like absolute screamers, but they actually didn't necessarily perform that well. But with the Wales game, we saw them control a game, we saw them up the tempo, we saw them punish Wales. And again, yesterday they looked really good. So I think the good thing is that England will still get a lot of opportunities, and they've shown that they can be clinical.
Yeah, big time.
I think they'll be much tougher than the Ukraine, as you just said. The Ukraine game kind of felt like the Sweden quarterfinal in the World Cup, where obviously it's a big game, it's a quarterfinal, but like we kind of knew we would win.
We were better than that.
Yeah. Whereas the Denmark game, like Denmark are much better than the Ukraine. They've, as you said, like they've changed their system.
Yeah.
They look really good going forward. They're very dynamic. They move the ball through the lines really quickly. And they scored a brilliant goal against Czech Republic. That cross with the outside of unreal.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
So I'm more scared of them than I am of the Ukraine, but I still think we've got the better team. And obviously, what's happened over the past couple of games, Southgate now, I just know that he's going to have a plan for them, which might involve going back to the back 3, which will annoy some people, but it will probably work.
I mean, you got to kind of trust him though at this stage.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, everything he's done, pretty much every decision he's made so far, bar the Scotland game, has been vindicated.
Yeah, that Scotland game's now kind of wiped from it. I don't remember anything that happened in that game.
No, we were at it as well. So, ask everyone this question at the end of the show. Flo, is it coming home?
I think it's coming home in the sense that I think we're going to get to the final.
That's not what it means, though.
And for me, that's a huge achievement.
But is it coming home to the... I mean, is it coming home and stopping at the doorstep? Or is it coming through the threshold and sitting down on the
It's
couch?
coming home. It's making itself.
I haven't asked you yet, all right?
I can't answer that question yet because for me, getting to the final is almost like we're home in some ways.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge achievement for, like, you know, to overcome all that trauma to get to the final, I think would be massive. So I just haven't thought beyond that, really. Like, getting to the final has always been the main target for me. And then once you're in the final, anything can happen. But initially going to this tournament, I thought, we'll get to the final and get absolutely smashed by France, which is what should have really happened at the World Cup.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Now France are out, anything can happen. I think Italy would be the worst case scenario if they got to the final.
And they're very, very good.
Yeah, what we need is a miraculous Spain victory, and then for Morata to
Spain
have
to
another
take it to
stinker.
penalties or something.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good... So I'm saying it's coming home to the final.
Okay, all right. I feel like that's a bit of a cop-out.
So many caveats. So many caveats.
Reuben, I hope you're a little bit clearer with this.
Yes.
Is it coming home?
Yes, it's coming home. It's coming straight through the door. It's going to sit down, make itself a cup of tea, like it always lived there.
May God have mercy on us all. Well, Flo, thanks very much for joining us.
No,
today.
thanks for having me.
Brilliant. You've been watching Football Trending. We'll see you next time.
You've been watching Football Trending, delivered by Joe and Domino's.